Yo, what is up, everybody? Today we'll be doing What If Naruto Was Toji Fushigiro's Reincarnation. Now, the man is quite strong, having no curse energy, but then having innate physical prowess. So, that'll actually be kind of interesting. But in this sense, it would actually act as a sort of converter for Naruto's chakra to pretty much, I guess, Naruto's physical strength in this case. Yeah, so without further ado, guys, let's get it started. So we actually pretty much start this what if, I guess you can say, during the birth of Naruto. Now, a few things that actually changed here. It's not just me recapping about the same thing. Pretty much we'll actually use the Amber Purification Jar to seal one half of the Nine Tails and the other half into Minato. Just pretty much like per usual, that in some element you probably saw before, most likely from Ropes. He doesn't do it as much anymore, but something he used to do though. And I'll actually use it here because it makes sense. Now, in this case, it wouldn't really make sense for the path I'm taking here for Naruto to actually have the Nine Tails. Even though it would go from immense chakra to immense physical strength, it's not something that actually I would want to do. So what I'm actually planning on having is Naruto kind of be raised in the Akatsuki, and how this will play out is when Obito realizes his plan will fail. He would realize Hiruzen has to use the Hagoromo's Amber Purification Jar to seal the Nine Tails half of it, or as he knows all of it. He would then take Naruto, obviously son of Minato, son of Kushina, he knows will be very strong, so later on he can actually use him to go back into the leaf and take the Nine Tails. That's his general plan, right? So he takes Naruto, and obviously he's quite fast, he's quite adept, he has the Kamui, so he's able to do this quite easily. Right, of course, Hiruzen would try to stop him, because as we know in this timeline, Hiruzen's there using the Amber Purification Jar, right? So he would take Naruto, and obviously he would have like a ton of Anbu coming after him, so he would just use his Kamui to go into his dimension. So pretty much from here, I guess, during the first years, obviously now that Naruto's not actually in the leaf and the Nine Tails is kept away, things are going to be drastically different, as there's no actual person to blame the Nine Tails attack on, and also some other elements I will actually be using here to affect the story. So what we'll actually have from here is Naruto will spend the first 16 years growing up in the Akatsuki, and I'll be going through some of the events that actually transpire between those years, not just specifically him, with some other characters as well. So when it comes to actually Itachi and Danzo and Hiruzen, what will actually happen here is that the Uchiha massacre would go about the same, and Itachi would join the Akatsuki. But the thing is, here we'll actually have Hiruzen lose some trust in Danzo, as he should have, right? As he realizes he probably had a doing in the massacre, as you know, he did take Shisui's eye, as Itachi would tell him this time. Now, of course, he would start losing trust in him pretty drastically, right? And by the time of the start of the anime, he would probably have almost little to no trust in him, like actual trust, like he'll have him like do like ninja things that he knows is in both of their interests, but when it comes to actually when it comes to Danzo's nature, he doesn't actually trust him as he used to so many years ago. So this will actually kind of be used later on, and if you keep paying attention, it's actually kind of interesting. Now, Naruto growing up in the Akatsuki would actually be kind of interesting, because he would actually be trained by like many people. Although he has actual no chakra, he can't learn any jutsu. He can learn many hand-to-hand combat and things like that. And just the dialogue and dynamic he has with some of the members in the Akatsuki would be kind of interesting to see, like him and Kakazu and Kisame. And as he's growing up, he would actually learn like a lot of swordsmen from the former wielder of the executioner blade, the one that died trying to retrieve the third Mizukage, Yagura, not the third one, the fourth one, I believe. And then obviously Kisame. So those two sword users would pretty much train Naruto on how to use weapons and things like that. So pretty much when he's growing up, obviously you wouldn't be sent on any missions to retrieve any tail beasts, because he's like what, 10, 12. I think they're not going to be doing that until like he's about 15. So during this time he's just training, getting to, I guess, learn things, becoming more intelligent, things like that, just normal stuff, right? And the thing is, in this time, the Akatsuki early on, before the actual start of the anime, they would be more of like how Dutch Van der Leyen's group was in Red Dead Redemption 2, for example. Like, per se, how they were kind of having this indoctrinating nature of this ideal that they were actually helping people, that they're like taking from the rich and helping the poor and saving the world and things like that. This kind of idea that they were born with this right to do so, right? And this would later turn into, let's say, in a sense, how Dutch Van der Leyen went crazy. This would kind of be something similar with Nagato and Mobuto, I guess you can say as well, because it's really just an act. But Naruto growing up would actually start believing these ideas. Obviously not for long, as we'll talk about later. Now we'll actually time skip to the time when Naruto's about 15, right? He's been trained and in combat, he's very exempt at it. And not exempt, exceptional. And he's like pretty much, as we know, his natural Uzumaki chakra converts to physical strength. Like, people cannot sense him at all. Like, for some reason, they just can't sense any chakra from him. And that's for a specific reason, because any chakra that actually naturally comes out from him is converted into physical strength. Pretty much, in a sense, they can't sense it. So just think of it like how curse energy in this case would be transferred from that of like curse energy to physical raw strength, his innate physical technique, I guess you can say. So we'll actually have Naruto get the inverted spear of heaven, his katana, his chain, and his slug, the one that inventory that carries his weapons. So pretty much how I actually will do this is having the Nagato would use the King of Hell to kind of look at Naruto in a way, and actually will create some weapons for him. And we'll actually have him, create the inverted spear of heaven, the spirit soul katana, I think it's called, and the chain, I forgot what it's called, but the long chain that can literally, if he kept the end of the chain into his inventory, curse spirit, it could literally stretch on for like, I don't know how long. So it's actually pretty, the length is kind of far. Pause on that, by the way. So this actually be a pretty good, pretty good weapons for him. So, and pretty much as the weapons are created, like spat out of the King of Hell, so would the curse spirit, as it would kind of go on his shoulder, and Naruto would actually put in the weapons in there, kind of acting as a sealing scroll. So let's say this kind of cursed spirit in a way is some mutated form of a cursed spirit. So actually from here, Naruto would be given a partner, and this would actually be Itachi. Now one thing I would like to kind of articulate here is, after Naruto was taken, they were literally spending years searching for him. Like, they know his name pretty much, and they kind of know his features, right? Blonde hair, blue eyes, or in this case, not really blonde hair, but black hair. Forgot to mention, I apologize, but pretty much he has Toji's look, right? And obviously we know that some people actually, like Hiruzen had looked, some of the Anbu outside the barrier had gotten a decent look at Naruto, right? But now he's much different, so I can kind of tell his features, right? Not very that much. So pretty much in his timeline looks about Toji's facial structure and about his height and his physique. His physique is more like a V-taper, and pretty much it's like defined shoulders and back, over defined shoulders and back, kind of tall height, 6'3", 6'4", and small waist. So it's kind of like a pretty good V-taper, and it's pretty decent, right? Still 15th. So like he has a long way to go when it comes to his physical nature. So when Itachi had joined the Akatsuki, he knows Naruto's name. He actually joined. Naruto's about, I guess, 7 years old, 7, 8 years old. And he actually, ever since then, he told Hiruzen, and he told Hiruzen that when Naruto grows up, he'll actually be stronger. Then he'll have him come back to the Leaf Village, because he knows this life isn't for him. He knows that he's only a kid. He only came here as a kid and been, in a sense, indoctrinated by his ideas. So that's the only reason actually Naruto is here, right? Everyone else in the Akatsuki is downright rotten. They're not really good people. And Naruto should not be in a group where, where they just kill people and also try to take the tailed beast for some very villainous plan. So this is pretty much his plan here. So when he's teamed up with Naruto, he'll actually kind of see him as, I guess you can say, a little brother, similar to Sasuke. He looks like Sasuke. He's about Sasuke's age, so he kind of reminds him of Sasuke. So he tries to like teach him the right way, try to teach him honor and things like that, and it would somewhat work. So this will actually, I'll have the kind of fight scene of them trying to get the Four Tails, right? So pretty much they'll head to like a farm area, and there's actually when they see the Jinchuriki of the Four Tails. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but probably not important, I don't think. So they encounter him, and they'll actually, obviously Naruto having his inverted spear can pretty much negate anything in this case, really, I'd say. So I actually went ahead and searched up the Jinchuriki's name for the Four Tails, and his name is actually Roshi. So Roshi would be actually quite strong. He would have some abilities of the Four Tails, like Magnum, or not Magnum, is it Magnum? Not Magnum. Some like volcanic like abilities. I forgot the specific term. I think it's Magnum. So pretty much he's able to use some sort of like a Phoenix Flower Jutsu, but like hot lava, and he's also able to transform into the Four Tails. So they would actually approach him, Itachi, Naruto. Naruto would have his inverted spear in it, kind of in his slug, and he would have it like kind of ready to go. As Naruto kind of starts stretching, like Toji did in manga, he kind of just like puts his arms behind his back and starts stretching out, and they would start fighting with Naruto kind of not really taking the lead here. It's kind of his first mission, and he's just watching Itachi. So Itachi, kind of goes in. He's not really hostile at first. He tells them that they're here for the Four Tails, right? But as we know, Roshi has been a Jinchuriki with the Four Tails for like 40 years, so he's not gonna. If he's gonna die, obviously, like the Four Tails, if he's gonna be taken, like, he's gonna die for the Four Tails. In a sense, I guess you can say. So from here, Roshi would start fighting with Itachi. Itachi would use some of his fire style first, as Roshi to counteract Roshi's Magnum style. I'll call it Magnum. So pretty much Roshi would start spitting out like a bunch of Magnum balls, I guess you can say, like meteor rocks, not like actually big, but decently sized. As Naruto would have to evade, and so would Itachi. As Itachi goes in hand-to-hand combat, and Roshi would start infusing some of his Magnum style into his fist, and sort of like how a Kainu does. As Itachi would actually have to be more careful, and what he would do is he would have Naruto go ahead and slice Roshi using his inverted spear, knowing his ability to negate chakra, and then combining that, he would put Roshi into the Tsukiyomi. Now, of course, it would not actually be something permanent because the Four Tails can break him out. But this would actually give him Naruto enough time to speed up and catch Roshi off guard, as he would actually slice kind of down his shoulder. As momentarily, I guess for a few seconds, Roshi won't actually be able to use any chakra, as the tailed beast should try to adapt to this, because the inverted spear pretty much cuts through chakra easily. So what would happen here is Roshi would go into his tailed beast form, and thinking this would maybe protect him against that blade, because it was pretty sharp and it cut through him pretty deep. So he would start throwing hands with Naruto, and Naruto would be able to try to keep his distance, because the tailed beast in their modes, they have pretty much all of their stats are pretty much multiplied by a lot, so he does not want to actually get hit by tailed beast bomb or anything like that. So he would start using his chain interlinked with his inverted spear, so he can try to like use his chain to extend the range of his spear. And by doing this, he lands a few hits, and even kind of cuts through the chakra mode that Roshi's in. And then it would for a few seconds, it would kind of just be this like gap, and then it would kind of refill, right? So Naruto would realize he would have to take Roshi's head off, so like that's where all his chakras originated from, and by doing so, it can completely I guess not like completely kill him, but it would take a few seconds for Roshi to regenerate. So he would do that, and he wouldn't even manage to cut through his whole head. It would just kind of cut a few inches into his neck, and then obviously this would kind of wouldn't really take him out, but it would momentarily kind of subdue him, as it would kind of knock him unconscious, as you know, the Four Tails is now more focused on healing his wounds, Roshi's wounds, rather than actually be able to put out that much chakra, since this is a major organ, and the Four Tails is only that of the Four Tails. It's not the Nine Tails. It doesn't have that much chakra. So they capture Roshi, and that would actually be a successful mission, right? So from there, Naruto would actually start getting some of the contacts of some like fixers or like handlers, as he would actually start he'd become a mercenary in a sense, doing assassination jobs. Because the thing is, Naruto's innate ability, he doesn't have any chakra, so he can sneak into barriers without actually being noticed. It's very stealthy like that, and he can blend into crowds and things like that. He's very socially intelligent of his surroundings, and his five senses are enhanced like severely. I mean, intensely, I guess you can say. And he's sort of just always aware of his surroundings, always kind of keen and looking around. And this is when he'll actually be given the, I guess you'd say the, like, truth by Itachi to actually leave the Akatsuki. He's about 15, almost 16, right? And Itachi tells him, like, he's doing good. He's been doing like mercenary missions. He's making some money, right? And that's really all he does. And Naruto's mindset is just making money, and pretty much he's not like the type to like do extra things, right? He can do anything for the right price, right? This after a few months, I'd say like 6 months after they originally captured Roshi, and they pretty much absorbed the Four Tails. And from here, this is when Itachi would start to tell Naruto to actually go to the leaf, right? Because these people, they're not actually good people. Of course, Naruto, he would tell Itachi, he would tell Naruto to actually be, a man, to actually have a good life and not be a part of this organization, because in reality, they don't actually do all the good things they say they do, like help the world, and I guess provide some sort of justice in the world. It's really just a cult, right? And Itachi knows this from the day he came in, because he's double agent, and obviously he would tell Naruto this because Naruto, knew Itachi for many years, and he's actually like the only really one of the only really good ones he known. So this would actually get to Naruto a lot, as he would start packing his stuff, right? He doesn't have much to pack. He just has his weapons and his clothes. That's about it. Not much to pack. So he would head out, actually. And they can't really sense it, right? He has no chakra. So he'd head out, and they would they would play out a whole scene of pretty much Naruto defecting from the Akatsuki, so it would actually not place any blame on Itachi, and Itachi would try to stop him. So they would actually put he would use some Matsuratsu in the room, put a few slashes on some doors, or kick down a few doors, and then that's obviously to make it look like a good scene, right? Of course, this would actually convince most of the less knowledgeable members of the group, like Deidara, Kakuzu, and Hidan, but really Obito and Nagato wouldn't be as convinced, right? They would look at it and it would seem believable, but just their guts telling them that, no, Itachi's lying. And this is actually why Nagato never really had used the King of Hell to actually heal Itachi's sickness, because he actually never really trusted him, and he wouldn't want to give Itachi like health again and then have him kill him one day or something like that, because he knows Itachi has the capacity, has the intelligence to do so. So he doesn't want to do that. So from here, Naruto get on this kind of poncho-like cloak as he would head on his way to the Leaf. They're like pretty much in the Rain Village, so it would actually take a few days for Naruto to make it to the Leaf. As on the way, he would he would go through some villages and stop for maybe like a night or two, but he would still like keep going, right? So once he would get there, he'd manage to walk through the barrier, and pretty much Itachi would have sent like a crow, like telling Naruto where to go and things like that. And he would make it to like kind of just a secluded area in the Leaf, and this where obviously he'd meet up and he'd see this like kind of gray-haired guy. This would be Kakashi. Like, gray hair makes me sound like he's old. He's only like 27. But when I say gray hair, it sort of is like kind of implies that he's old, even though it's just like the color of his hair. And then obviously they'd meet Hiruzen, and actually a few Anbu would be there, right? And obviously they'd kind of escort Naruto in and things like that. And they'd realize like what Itachi was saying was actually true. Like when you walk through the barrier, it didn't even like alert anybody, right? That's just how like kind of dangerous Naruto is like natural ability. So Naruto would be I guess you can say on Team 7, but not like on Team 7, if that makes any sense. It would be sort of like not actually like it'd be just more like there whenever they do go on bigger missions, but whenever they're doing D-rank missions or anything like that, he's not doing any of that, right? He's just mostly there to go on those A-rank missions and things like that. So he would be placed on Team 7, but mostly he's really getting to know the area, know some of the contacts in the area, like the shady people he can work for and get some money, right? Because that's all he's about. He gambles, makes money, right? And then he trains. That's all of him. It's pretty much him, right? So when he gets back, he'd actually start to get to know some of the people in the village, like the Konoha 12, like Shikamaru's pretty chill, I guess, and Sasuke's pretty cool. And yeah, we'll actually pretty much go over to the first day, like the team selection. Right? So Naruto would pretty much walk in about the same outfit actually that Toji wears. Like, it's not much to pretty much say. Like, he just wears a shirt, pants, and shoes. Kind of, I don't know what shoes he wears. Kind of wears like these dress shoes, and then he kind of wears this like shirt which kind of defines like most of his upper chest and his arms, and then to the lower end it kind of leads off. I don't know, kind of like a tight shirt, not like too tight, just about the right size. And then it's just a drip, right? That's all it is really. So you'd make it inside, and thing is, Naruto wasn't here for the actual academy. They weren't. So the academy started at like 12 years old, and now they're like 16. And I'm kind of raising the ages because they actually started the academy when they're like 7 or 8. But just wanted to up the ages because it seems it makes a bit more sense because they have more time to like become ninja, things like that. So pretty much Naruto would head inside, and some of the people here, like I said, they never saw him, right? So they'd actually be confused who this is. And Naruto would sit down and actually, like, it'd be right next to Sasuke, just like in canon, right? Naruto would, like I said, sit down. And he would just not really do much, just sit down and be quiet, not really say anything. From here, actually, Sasuke would be thinking in his head, why can I not sense him, right? Because when you walked in, usually he senses people's chakra, right? Obviously, he's in Uchiha and things like that. But here, he cannot actually sense Naruto. On his timeline, pretty much what I would have here is kind of Naruto having a sense of respect for Sasuke, because obviously he knows the capacity of the Uchiha. He knows, like, for example, like Shisui, right? He had the Mangekyo. He knows Madara Uchiha. He knows those people, right? And if he could fight them, and he would enjoy fighting them, right? Obviously, Itachi tells Naruto about Sasuke, right? And obviously Itachi tells him like he's kind of weak right now, but he has the potential to actually be stronger than me. So I'm actually hoping he kind of becomes stronger than me and is actually able to beat me one day. And hopefully I get the eternal Mangekyo. So obviously Itachi would tell this stuff like to Naruto. So Naruto wouldn't really be, in a sense, like rude or anything to Sasuke. He would just kind of have mutual respect, right? So obviously Hiruko would come in here. Obviously he knows about Naruto. It's got added last minute. Obviously the story is to the public that Naruto's a transfer student who's actually studying abroad. Like he's been studying actually at a different village in the Fire Nation, and he's actually transferring over here to have better opportunity or something like that, right? So obviously that just wouldn't make sense. So they just make it make sense, Obviously they can't say he was actually part of the Akatsuki and did missions for them, right? Because that wouldn't make sense. That would actually cause some panic, right? Be a bounty on him. So right now Naruto's actually on the low side, what he did to the Four Tails and some other missions and things like that. He would actually make sure that actually nobody knew about that, since the essence of his ability, sticking into barriers, assassinating his target, just getting out, that's really how he is. So from here, he would announce the Team 7, which would actually be about the same as in canon: Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. I don't really see much reason to actually change it, but Naruto, obviously, he made it known to Kakashi because he talked to him right a few times. He would tell him he only does bigger missions like A rank, S rank, and he knows how the Shinobi system works, so you can't really hit him with that D rank mission or anything like that. He actually wants to spend his time wisely, right? And he wants to make some good money, because D rank and C rank, they don't make a lot of money. So what would happen from here is Naruto would actually start, like I said earlier, like in Naruto, like earlier that day, earlier that week, pretty much start building his contacts. And obviously after the some missions, he'll probably go do some of his actual mercenary work, right? So what he will do from here is, obviously Kakashi would come in a few hours later. He's waiting, right? Not really doing much. And he would come in and say, meet me upstairs on the roof and things like that. And they would actually do their introductions. Obviously Naruto is significantly much different here. He doesn't have any of the aspirations that canon Naruto did in the main timeline. So He just likes he likes making money. He likes gambling. He likes training. He likes fighting strong people. Likes adapting. He likes things like that. And his dream, I guess you can say, he wants to be the strongest. That's pretty easy dream as well. And also like be able to have like, I guess, strong people like accompany him in a way. It's kind of hard to explain, right? So pretty much, he's kind of a complex person. It doesn't really show much, right? Obviously, yeah, it's interesting, I guess you can say. So from here, Kakashi would explain that they're actually going to do a training session tomorrow because he doesn't actually think, he wants to test their strength. He doesn't think the getting test is actually something that tests the person's strength, and he thinks that they should actually be tested by him, right? And he would tell them like all the rules and conditions not to eat or anything like that, as he would, disappear into a shadow clone. So from here, Naruto and Sasuke go about their day. When Naruto's leaving, he would actually be stopped by like Sasuke. He's like outside the academy a little bit, as Naruto would actually be challenged by Sasuke to like a spar or something like that, right? I guess you can say a spar, right? So they could head to the training ground, right? Naruto's always down to fight, right? He's kind of also wants to see how strong Sasuke is and how he would actually adapt to Naruto's movements, his techniques, and things like that. So they start fighting, right? Hand-to-hand combat, as Sasuke would actually make the first move, doing the wildfire dance. Pretty much a stream of attacks, high speed attacks, and Naruto could sort of see this, as he would use his hand to block it, and he would block most of the attacks before counter-attacking with a kind of gut punch to the stomach, as Sasuke will kind of tank this, right? But kind of barely, he's kind of wobbly, his feet's wobbly as he starts to adapt, and he starts to push his limits, right? Kind of trying to draw as much chakra to kind of cushion that area, as he would, and then obviously his feet too, so he can actually keep standing. So he would start, going for another punch or a kick, trying to look for as many openings as possible. Naruto's able to adapt and counterattack, and this goes on for like the next 3-4 hours. And by this time, Sasuke's actually pretty much grown a lot more than he did in the academy, to say the least. So his hand-to-hand combat's gotten much better. He's more precise. Obviously, he's not going to have that much growth, time skip growth, but it's a decent start. It's a good foundation, right? And I guess you can say this is something like a Hunter x Hunter training arc, where they had to learn Nen in 3 hours or something like that. I guess you can say it's something like that, but there isn't as much urgency. So, they would train for the rest of the day. And actually, Sasuke would introduce Naruto to this restaurant, and this would be actually the ramen shop, right? And obviously, we can't not have Naruto not like ramen, because that's just kind of his theme in the show, right? And it would kind of take away the identity, because I don't know, him liking ramen is actually a key part of his childhood. Obviously, he didn't grow up in the Leaf in his timeline, so he didn't actually have that experience, but now he can actually start having that experience. So he didn't really have none of this growing up, so he actually like this a lot, right? He'd eat some ramen and he would actually like it a lot. I mean, it's pretty good. I had it myself, and I didn't actually have good quality ones. I just had the ones you microwave, but it's actually still pretty good. So kind of a tangent here, but next day would come by. They would have that test, right? They would be at the training ground. Kashi, like per usual, shows up late, and in the meantime, Naruto and Sasuke would just be sparring like they did yesterday. Gonna have a lighter spar, since they don't know what kind of training Kakashi's gonna put them through. So Kakashi would rock up, right? And Sasuke and Naruto are pretty okay with working with each other. I mean, because Naruto actually knows what Sasuke will end up doing. Right? He wants him to like kind of kill Itachi. And he knows, like he heard from yesterday, that Sasuke wants to kill Itachi still, but he's kind of worried that he's not strong enough right now because he doesn't really have the Sharingan. Obviously, he's not worried. He just kind of notices this, right? Obviously, Toji's character, I guess you can say, can seem a bit psychotic, but I think he, in the end, he kind of did everything for Megami, I guess you could say, so he can actually have a good future as a Jujutsu sorcerer. But like the things he did, he only really did for money. He didn't actually like genuinely have enjoyment doing it, and he doesn't really like Jujutsu sorcerers, and that's actually why he didn't leave after just killing the Star Platinum holder. I forgot her name, the Star Platinum vessel, because the idea that Gojo is like this honored one amongst Jujutsu sorcerers, and he wanted to actually kill him, right, using the inverted spear, so he can actually kind of mock the Jujutsu society. So I guess you can say his pride and his ego got in the way, and that's what led to his death, because he could have just killed the vessel and left, right, probably raised Megami or something like that. So I guess in this case it would be something like that, except that ending wouldn't happen, right? So pretty much from here, Kakashi explained the rules of the belt test, and I guess from here he would say start, as Naruto and Sasuke would start pretty much jumping Kakashi, like Itadori Nanami versus Mahito type jumping, right? They would not let him breathe, right? So they'd start doing. The thing is, Naruto's hand-to-hand combat is so pristine, so refined, that he's kind of collaborative to anyone else's, and he not only has value, but he can give the value, right? He kind of holds Kakashi in place, let Sasuke get some hits in on Kakashi, things like that, right? He also gives openings and makes openings, right? So just that kind of the concept of Naruto just being this really good hand-to-hand fighter now is decent. So they start fighting Kakashi, and they're doing pretty well, kind of working together. Sakura's not really doing much. Obviously, I didn't really have her really do much, and not really much she could do. She's more like a healer. Even with the 100 ceiling, she could use like her infused, like chakra infused fist, but she doesn't really know that just yet. I mean, I could have her learn it earlier or something, because she has pretty good chakra control, but like at the moment she's not really doing much, especially just how strong Naruto is. It's the same with Sasuke. He's kind of adapting to Naruto's techniques here. I mean, just hand-to-hand combat mostly, so there's not really much for her to do, because she can't really get in. Maybe like later on I'll have her kind of have some good opportunities, learn some earth style, things like that, like she does in the novel. At the moment, there's not really much she can do. So back to the fight. So Naruto, Sasuke, they're running hands, and Kakashi would start using more and more of his chakra, as he would start kind of more focusing and reinforcing his body, like his 30% chakra. He would actually reinforce it, and so he can actually take the hits that Naruto and Sasuke are throwing at him. Sorry. So pretty much from here, Naruto and Sasuke would start to see a Kakashi that's actually starting to stop like holding back as much, as he's actually being able to catch up. He actually catches attack with Naruto's and pretty much like throws his mighty punch at him, chakra infused as well. He just kind of throws a gut punch at him, right? Naruto kind of it's like he's not like sent flying back or anything, but he feels that internally, right? As there'd be sort of like a imprint on Naruto's stomach from Kakashi's fist, right? So I mean, obviously for the reason Kakashi went all out on Naruto's because he knows Naruto was an Ikatsuki. He knows Naruto fought the Four Tails, and he knows he's pretty strong. He was trained by the best. So he feels more comfortable going all out on Naruto. Plus, it's actually a good opportunity for him to get back into the shinobi world, as he's kind of rusty. So when it came to Sasuke, it was sort of more easier to take him out, but Sasuke would be a bit more persistent, as he would actually start using his fire style and his wildfire dance more, and Kakashi would be a bit pressed by this because he didn't know actually Sasuke could use fire style. And from here, Naruto would have his slug on his shoulder as it would summon his chain, as he would start spinning it, right? As you know, the objective of the training exercise is to actually get the bells. So he would start wrapping the chain around, and it would start getting longer and longer and longer because it's pretty much technically infinite, right? So he would wrap the chains around Kakashi, as he'd realize that these chains, like he would try using this substitution jutsu, but he can't actually use chakra on these chains, and then it's just because of the simple fact that the chains were meant to actually kind of contain curse users, or in a sense chakra users. I actually don't know if the chains were actually originally used in the JJK manga to restrain curse sorcerers or any cursed spirits from using their technique, but it would actually be logical that this was the case because his inverted spear of heaven could literally cut through curse energy. So the idea of a chain doing something similar is not so far-fetched, as he commands Sasuke to actually grab the bells, as he would grab both of them and throw one of them to Naruto, and that would be about it, right? He would get the bells and it would start ringing them, like to kind of taunt Kakashi. So now that they pretty much won here, Kakashi would be kind of impressed, and he would actually he would tell them like you guys did pretty good, things like that. I just have one thing: next time I'm trying to incorporate Sakura, because this team 7 is us 4, so we gotta learn to work together. This wasn't so far fetched though. They would be like, okay, all right. So the next week or so, they would actually start doing D-rank missions. Of course, Naruto, he's not doing any of that, right? He's actually kind of tempted on killing the cat, so they would be like, chasing that one cat most of the time and doing just chores, really. And Naruto would tell this. He would kind of recognize this, and he would just spend his time training when they're doing D-rank missions. And Sasuke and Sakura would be a little irritated at that. Same with Kakashi, that he's just like not doing it. But who would want to do those kind of missions? Because there's like all this variety, like A rank, C, S rank, and then there's just doing D rank missions. It's kind of a bore fest. Because Naruto wants to actually fight strong people, and it's kind of like not helping. So he would just train, kind of go through the village, and like meet some of the Konoha 12, like Shikamaru, right, Shino, and he would hang out with them one day after their like training. They'd all kind of, pretty much most of Konoha 12 that are chilly with each other. They'd like meet up, kind of hang out. Actually, with this one, Naruto meets like people like Hinata, Kiba, things like that. He'd actually have some friends, because obviously growing up, he didn't really have much friends. He had the Akatsuki, that was pretty much it. Other than that, they're all killers, so there's actually, he didn't really have much of a normal childhood. So actually now we'll be going to the land of the waves here. So Tazuna would come in. Obviously, so Naruto is kind of intrigued, because when he's hearing some of the mission details, he'll remember actually there's a kind of info collector, businessman in the land of the waves that's sort of keeping control of the land of waves. And thing is, he notices Tazuna doesn't mention this. He doesn't mention this, and he actually lets Kakashi know in this, and says they should still go on the mission though, because there's actually a lot of opportunity for them money-wise, success-wise as a ninja, and a lot of strong people that Gato could hire. This would actually be true, because there's, Zabuza and Haku and all that, and the Demon Brothers. So what happened from here is they would go ahead and head on to the land of the waves. So Team 7 would actually be on their way to the land of the waves. So as they're walking through, Naruto would actually, like, as he's talking with Team 7, like just casual convo, and his tone would be more stoic. His voice would be deeper, not like how Naruto is in canon, where he's kind of like a light-hearted guy, kind of all happy-go-lucky. I mean, that's just how it is, and I mean, that's fine. But in this case, Naruto wouldn't be the same, right? Be more serious, not like serious, like emo serious, like just the right amount. So from here, you actually start to sense the water puddle, as obviously he's a top tier assassin. He knows like these things, these kind of symbols or signs, like red flags. See, like, okay, you know, there's actually an enemy in our presence. This would actually be one of them, right? As he sees they're in the puddle. So he would get himself in a position where if they were to come out of the puddle or something like that, he'd actually be in a position to, you know, strike them down, right? As they would come out of the puddle, as they pass it, as Naruto would have his, like, the hand on the handle of the slug, like the opening of his mouth, as he would take out his inverted spear, turn around and cut them down, right, as fast as they came out. So as they're kind of falling backwards, blood just gashing out of their chest, right, they kind of are almost about to die, but not really. So Kakashi would start using his Anbu interrogation techniques to, like, once he actually registers what's happening, they all register it. They, you know, not Kakashi would interrogate them and actually get the information that they work for Gato, right? And like they work for Gato corporations, and they're getting paid to kill Tazuna, or at least prevent him from building the bridge. So they didn't realize this, and you know, Kakashi would go ahead, you know, slit their throat, really. I don't need this, you know, just simple, right? Or they would just bleed out. Either way works. So from here, they would continue on their path here, as that was redundant, but something that I noticed. So they would actually continue down their path, as they would actually meet one of the Tazuna's contacts, which promised them to actually get them across the river, but only really one time. They can't like come back and get on the river to go back to head towards the leaf. They have to. This is it, you know. So the man would take them over the river, as they would kind of get off, as you know, Naruto, or not really Naruto, but Kakashi and Team 7, they kind of promised to take down Gato, as they would head towards. Naruto would start stretching, as he's kind of ready to see who is he gonna fight, you know. And Kakashi would actually be more lenient to letting Naruto fight alongside him, because you know, he, due to his time in the Akatsuki, he's actually he can handle himself in a fight. Definitely handle himself, and he's probably one of the strongest. If I were actually to rate Naruto's strength right now, he'd actually be about Jonin level, and that's at least right now, right? Obviously, there's not much power-ups I can have him have, because his powers are kind of basic in a way, right? He's just kind of really good at throwing hands, has all these really cool weapons, and there's not much progression I can have in terms of that. Like when it comes to other things like Megumi, maybe if I do Gojo, Kashimo, I can have a progression of the curse technique or curse energy, and there's actually some development there, right? Starting small. The thing is, Naruto is just throwing hands, right? So he's pretty much already kind of starting off strong, right? And he will continue to get stronger just from these experiences he has. So from here, the abyss would start piling on, as they would be encountered by Zabuza, as he would have that moment where Naruto would see that rabbit, and he would throw that chain at it, kind of taking it out, as he would see it's a white rabbit, as Kakashi would tell everyone to duck as per usual, as Naruto would actually feel his boldness, as he would take out his spirit soul katana, I think that's the name, as he would actually clash with the blade. Now the blade would kind of stop moving, but it would still kind of be pushing force into Naruto, as he would be kind of resisting, as the blade still kind of moving, has some sort of momentum, as Naruto would kind of feel it become overwhelming, as he would kind of move its direction, as it would fly into the tree. And then from here, Zabuza would actually stand on top of the blade, as he would have his introduction, right? So Naruto, Kakashi, they would start 2v1 again. Zabuza, they would start jumping him, right? So, because even though Kakashi's using his Sharingan here, he's kind of still rusty when it comes to using the Sharingan. It's been a while, and Naruto kind of helps him out in aspects, kind of compensates for this, I guess you could say, weakness in Kakashi just for the moment. So Naruto would have his katana, and he would start fighting swords, like have a swordsman battle with Zabuza, and that would actually be going kind of good. Naruto be adapting, reacting to his attacks, and even going for some counterattacks, slicing at his shoulder. And Naruto would see that Zabuza has this special blade, being that of the Executioner's blade, as he would actually start getting more hyped up, as he would start feeling this kind of innate physical technique, and his chakra would start raising up, and this would lead to more physical strength, as the more chakra he has, the more actual strength he has. Like I said, Toji's heavenly research acts as a converter to his physical strength. So from here, Naruto would get stronger and stronger, and his katana movements and his technique would actually get pretty good as well. This is when actually Naruto will start talking to Zabuza, as he says that he was actually trained by Kisame, and he knows all about the 7 swordsmen of the mist. This is when Zabuza would kind of start gritting his teeth, because he does not like Kisame at all, as he would start swinging his blade more ferociously and just more demonically, as a purple aura would surround him. A sort of bluish aura would surround Naruto as they would clash. As this, think of this more of just as a cinematic thing. I'm just kind of doing this to hype up their fight, as it's sort of like how Demon Slayer is, So they would clash, as Naruto would start enjoying the fight. But the thing is, he could end the fight, right? He's kind of like losing interest. He's enjoying the fight. He's at the peak of the fight, but this is the most exciting it can be. And he's reacting in time, counterattacking and things like that. It's going fine, but he sees like so many openings in Zabuza's technique. He could probably just cut him down right now, and he just wants to see, right? So he cuts down at Zabuza's chest, right? And the thing is, Zabuza goes to like block, and just the strength that Naruto would have, it would like split right through the blade and cut right through, like vertically down Zabuza's chest, right? And I know that's kind of crazy though, like Naruto cutting down, like splitting Executioner's blade in half. I would say that's not really that crazy, because actually the middle of the blade is where it's like the thinnest. Like there's the blade, right, and it goes, and then it has this kind of half circle design, and that's where Naruto would cut. So it actually wouldn't be as crazy as you think. Also, like I said, Naruto is at the peak of his physical strength at this moment, and with the katana, he has the I forgot the one that Maki, that was called like the Soul Katana or something like that. I'll search it up real quick, but I don't actually remember the name, but the katana itself is not the inverted spear. The katana has the ability to actually reach somebody's soul when it cuts them. So whenever he cuts somebody, he's actually damaging their soul too. So it's actually a pretty neat ability. So from here, he would cut Zabuza would feel like his chakra depleting, right, as his soul literally kind of like gets hit, like probably a chunk of his soul is gone. So Zabuza would be kind of, I guess you can say, like, how do I say, he's like walking backwards but stumbling, right, stumbling backwards, as Kakashi would start using the water vortex jutsu, as Zabuza would try to react but he couldn't. So Kakashi gets the water vortex jutsu faster, even faster than he did in canon, as he would hit him with the water vortex jutsu, as Zabuza would be slammed into the tree. Now from here, what would happen is that Naruto would go in with his blade as he would get ready to slice off Zabuza's head, right? So he can't actually use any chakra. But something odd would happen as two Senbon would actually hit his neck, as Naruto would see a kind of silhouette or like an image on a tree kind of teleporting down or body flickering down, as he would see actually the figure of like a like kind of an unknown assailant in Ambu clothing, as he would actually see this as a sort of trick misdirect ninja, but he doesn't know too much, right? He sees like the mask and it shows mist, and he sees like this is the usual attire of a tracking ninja, so it kind of puts two and two together, and he sees that this is, misdirect ninja, and their jobs is to take information. But he would be thinking, and this would lead him to think like, okay, well, why isn't he dissecting the body right there, right? Why is he talking to them and like taking the body elsewhere, right? He'd be thinking this as like Haku was leaving, but he'd know that Haku was actually working with Zabuza, but he would actually let him go because he wants him to heal up so they can maybe have a rematch and he would actually be stronger, or have a fight with that masked man. So what would happen from here is Kashi would kind of be exhausted, but not exhausted where he'd be sleeping for like a few days. He's like tired, but not that tired since he didn't get put into a water prison jutsu. So they would head over to Tasuna's house, get like food and things like that, and they'll rest up for the night. And it's actually we'll go start the 2-week time skip for their training. Now Kakashi knows Naruto can actually handle intense training, and he also kind of sees Sasuke could. So he actually starts doing more intense training. Like he teaches like the what's it called? The tree walking thing. Like that's just in an hour, right? And I would say Naruto could do this because that's just convenience sake. Being able to tree walk and water walk, that's just kind of innate skills, right? It's not like, okay, like he has to have some jutsu for this or something. It's just something simple, and it's always convenient to just have him have it as well, right? So from here, Naruto start training physically. He's training with Sasuke, training with Kakashi. Kakashi's giving him tips and tricks, but Kakashi's more of a jutsu guy, not really like he can do hand-to-hand combat, but it's just not his strongest thing he can do. He mostly focuses on like lightning blade, but he still has tricks up his sleeve. He teaches Naruto this. He still has like advice to give and expertise, and Sasuke will be learning this. Sasuke learned more things about his Sharingan, and just by fighting with Naruto with his Sharingan on, he's able to give the kind of attention and experience it needs to grow. I'd say in this time it could probably get to two point each eye even, and it's just like barely. I'm not saying like he's mastered 2 points, like just barely into it, right? So from here, over the 2-week time, Sakura could learn some earth jutsu, some water jutsu, right? Because they're in the land of the waves, a lot of water to actually draw from, and also like again, she can learn earth jutsus pretty easily. So then she learns simple earth jutsus from the start, and then starts learning more and more complex jutsus as she has pretty good chakra control to help her do so. Sasuke will be learning more fire style and how to manipulate fire, and also getting into some of the basics for lightning jutsu, right? And hopefully some of the first just the foundations and basics for the Chidori, and just making shapes with light, which you'll actually be learning, I'd say, before the Chunin exams, but after the Land of the Waves. So in this 2 weeks, Naruto would actually, do some reconnaissance in the area and realize that Gato has a sort of mansion with all the riches he has, kind of in the bank. So, or like more not a bank, a vault. So from here, their plan is to kill Zabuza and Haku, and then take out any guards Gato may have. Go ahead and take all the riches of Gato, give some of it to Tazuna and the village, so they can start their own business, start their own village. And actually, by doing so, they are indebted to the Leaf, and by doing so, they kind of start expanding their territory. So they're actually part of the Leaf, and actually do business with the Leaf, do business with some other villages, right? Because Tazuna's abilities, that he's an architect, right? He can build things, so he can probably make some money off of that. And this could be good foreshadowing. Like if say certain village comes manipulated by Orochimaru, cause a lot of damage, that could be helpful. So from here, they would actually all, that day they would actually head over to the bridge, and they did go secretly, like in the mornings, early mornings, and build some of it. But here they're actually like going during the day, where people could see them, so that because they know like Zabuza and Haku are gonna show up. So Zabuza and Haku would pull up, and this is when they would actually start their fight. Kakashi would be fighting against Zabuza, and Haku would be fighting against Sasuke and Naruto, with Sakura protecting Tazuna via her Earth style and Water style jutsu potentially. But obviously, if Zabuza tries to use Water style jutsu, she's not winning in that aspect, so she'll just use her Earth style jutsu. So she'll just make a few earth walls, kind of reinforce it, make something secure, right? So from here, Naruto and Sasuke would be throwing hands with Haku, as Naruto, with his also expertise on the anatomy, would know on Haku's like senbon abilities. They pretty much puncture wounds and stop like muscles from moving and contracting. So they would tell Sasuke about this and tell him to be careful and to try to dodge it, as Sasuke would be have his Sharingan awaken and have 2 kunais. Naruto would actually have his inverted spear. As Haku would be making a few ice walls, Naruto would be able to pierce through this as they're throwing hands. They're jumping Naruto, switching places, throwing punches, kicking, things like that. Naruto would start using his chain as he would hold Haku in place, as Sasuke would actually use a fire style to just burn Haku to like a crisp, really. Not like actual crisp, like to add like cremation, but like just like 2 burn marks here and there. His fire style is not that strong yet, so he would use a few fire style like fire direct jutsu, things like this, as he would start throwing some kunai in there, some shuriken, to make it like a Phoenix flower jutsu. So from here, like Haku would get out, he would be incredibly pissed, right? He's just pissed, right? His clothes burned, he has burn marks all over him. He would start closing his wounds with his ice kick Genkai, as he would put his hand sign up, as he would then pretty much use his demonic ice spear jutsu. Now from here, Naruto and Sasuke would be surrounded by walls of just ice, as Haku would start throwing senbon at them, and they have to adapt and dodge and things like that. And they would not be doing so well so far. Like, I guess at first they're doing okay, but when Haku starts, I guess in a way, stops holding back, there was more, starts appearing in multiple mirrors. That's when more or less Sasuke would be kind of struggling, and Naruto would kind of just be on his own, really. I mean, Sasuke has yet to adapt to Haku. So I guess in the next 5 minutes, they just spent deflecting all of the senbon, and from here, we'll have actually Naruto have Sasuke use a fire style jutsu, like the biggest he can. And what Sasuke would do is he would remember a fire style. He remembers from reading a scroll, and this would actually be like A rank, kind of S rank fire style jutsu, more A rank. This would actually be the Majestic Destroyer Flame. So what Naruto would have, he would kind of back up, right? As Sasuke would use the Majestic Destroyer Flame by distracting, Haku. Naruto would actually start carving open like a hole inside, like where Haku is, and he would actually appear, like kind of sneak up behind Haku is. Remember, he has no chakra, he cannot be sensed. So while Sasuke is distracting Haku and Haku's trying to actively repair the ice mirrors, Naruto would then appear beside Haku. Haku would turn around, completely shocked that Naruto had appeared so swiftly and actually managed to break through, as Naruto would pierce through Zabuza's chest with his blade, as he would kind of just completely stab through him, right? Clean cut, like just straight through, as Naruto would then pretty much take his sword out, as Haku would start stumbling backwards before kind of leaning against the rail, as he would start grabbing at his wound, trying to use his Ice Kick Genkai to heal it. And this one Naruto would use this advantage, this time, right, try to stop Haku from healing his wound, closing his wound, to actually just lop off his head there, to stop any chakra movement at all. From here, Zabuza and Naruto, Zabuza and Kakashi would be watching what Naruto did, as he, Zabuza becomes kind of somewhat fearful, right? He's the demon of the mist, but the inside of him just starts feeling fear, right? As Kakashi would start using his dogs to hold Zabuza down, and this is when he'll actually be pretty much pierced by the Raikiri, and there's no Haku to stop it. Like he's getting donuted here, as pretty much it'd be the end of both Zabuza and Haku. Unfortunately, not really any humanization with, but it is what it is. So from here, Gato and his men would actually start showing up, and they would start humiliating Haku's body. And Naruto, Team 7, they would just start throwing hands that would cut through all of his mercenaries with ease, as after they would cut everyone down, including Gato, Naruto would actually pick up Zabuza's executioner blade, as he would seal it into his soul, like I was about to say a scroll of sealing. I meant to say like a sealing scroll, right? So he can like an inventory scroll, as he would put that scroll into the slug's mouth on his, on his shoulder, as it would kind of like Sasuke and Kakashi would kind of look at it. It would be a little weird, right? Because this cursed spirit is kind of looks a bit weird, but Naruto would store the scroll in its mouth, as they go over to the Gato's house, as they would start taking his wealth. And I would say how the wealth is divided, it'd be about 50% to Team 7 and just the village in general, and then from there it will be split between Team 7 and the village, as well as Zabuza's body and Haku's corpse bounty money, and the rest of the money will be given to the village and toss it up, right? So I'd say it's pretty fair. So from here, they would head back to the village, give obviously proper money to the village, because it's a village, it kind of needs to be financially supported, and they would get their own cut. Naruto, you would like this, because it's a lot of money. Even after all people get their cut and all, it's I guess in this timeline with all of Gato's money, probably be 10 mil easy. All the land that Gato had recently owned actually goes up for grabs, and pretty much the Hidden Leaf would buy it out pretty much at a cheaper rate. I guess you can say more like Hiru's buys it, even though technically it's really more of the Fire Nation in general, but it does it on behalf of the Fire Nation. since technically it's kind of closer to the fire, the land of fire. So it would start buying up all the property and things like that. Kind of irrelevant. So from here, we'll actually have the 2-week time skip before the tuning exams. In this case, obviously Naruto would not be participating, as obviously he's much higher than a Jonin, and this is actually when he'll be promoted to actually an elite Jonin. Like the only person like statistically like higher than him, like rank wise, is Guy and Kakashi. Everyone else except obviously Hiruzen and maybe Danzo, they're like, I guess, lower ranked him. And this is actually when Naruto would start actually training some Anbu members, like how to assassinate better, how to like places in the body where it's like one shot, one kill, like you stab them there, they puncture something, right? And he would start sharing his expertise that he learned as his reputation grows and grows. And this one, he'll actually be put on the Big Book for S rank, as he did defeat Gato, defeated Zabuza, and defeated Haku, and they were all A rank at least. And obviously Naruto was then recognized for his association with the Akatsuki, but it's sort of rumored, it's not like actually for sure. So his bounty would go up, and now the Akatsuki know that Naruto was like defected and became a ninja in the Leaf Village. So now from here, the tuning exam would take place with just Sasuke and Sakura, but Naruto would be kind of put of holding them in shape and getting them strong enough so they can actually hold themselves up, because he actually saw some of the contestants like Gaara, Tamari, and Kagero, and the thing is they were not getting. The Sand Village made it out to be like, oh, they're getting, but they only do errand missions, so they're basically Jonin. And he obviously knows that Gaara is the one-tailed jerky, so he trains them up, and so does Kakashi. And Sasuke would actually learn Chidori, obviously more than more perfected version, and also Sakura would be learning more medical ninjutsu as she actually becomes an apprentice at a local hospital of hers, as she actually starts learning like advanced forms of medical ninjutsu that she had previously taken up, more theoretical but now more hands-on. Now this time everyone kind of grown pretty gradually, pretty good, and like I guess you can say exponential. So this is actually when we'll be starting the tuning exams. So pretty much from here, the day of the tuning exams comes along, as they would actually Team 7 Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura would actually head over to the academy where it actually be taking place. So from here, they'll head inside, and they would head inside and they would head over to like where it's taking place. This is where Sasuke will notice the genjutsu that's being used by those 2 gate guards, as it would kind of test to throw people off, right? As he would manage to kind of take I guess you can say get through this, as he's in a Chi, sees genjutsu pretty easily, and Sakura, she's got a good head on her shoulders. I mean, now she's pretty smart in this timeline, I guess you can say, as they would actually manage to get past the genjutsu and head over to the testing area, where obviously Sasuke would be stopped by Lee, and this will have our usual fight, where Sasuke is actually throwing hands with Lee, keeping up with him, and even at some points outspeeding him, as especially he's even just in base, he's not even using his Sharingan, as obviously Lee goes to take off his weights. And this is actually when Guy interferes and tells Lee to actually save it for the later stages of the exam, kind of scolding him in a sense. And obviously you would have that kind of apologetic moment where he's kind of not apologetic, but how Lee and Guy are, and how about the power youth and all that. interesting. They're weird in that way, like energetic weird, like Jimbro weird. Right. So from here, Sasuke and Sakura would head over to the written exam. They get through that pretty easily. Sasuke would use his Sharingan, while Sakura would actually use kind of her intelligence to get through that. So from here, Hanako would come in and have her usual introduction. We'll just run this kind of area until the Orochimaru area. Now, from Naruto's perspective, he's actually a proctor in here, as he is pretty much chilling at the kind of the borders of the forest. He's talking with Hanako and some of the earlier also some of the other Jonins placed in their beds, as they all placed their bets on people like Neji and things like that. And Naruto, he's a big gambler, right? So what he'll do during this time, he'll actually place he would go all in on Sasuke. He would actually put like $200, $250 on Sasuke and Sakura to actually get through. Obviously, all the other Jonins are shocked because there's only 2 of them, and it's one of them is actually the only good fighter. The other one's really mostly a healer, somewhat semi-fighter. But Kakashi would actually also do the same, as they're actually kind of like Asuma, Guy, and Kunai would be kind of shocked at like what they see in Sasuke and Sakura at this point. Now, obviously, at this point, a little bit before, like 30 minutes before the Sasuke and Sakura meet up with Orochimaru and have their fight scene, Naruto would be on that borders, kind of surveilling the area as he's talking with Anko, and things like she knows his force in and out. Actually, Naruto would start sensing Orochimaru, and that's actually when he'll start to head in. Obviously, Anko was actually, I think she was bit by Orochimaru, and she doesn't really like him that much. That they had like a whole fight scene, and Orochimaru pretty much whooped her pretty much. So she didn't really put up much of a fight though. But just because Orochimaru is Orochimaru, there's not much you can do. Like, you would need to be like really strong to actually be able to beat him. So from here, Naruto would start rushing in, right? Because this is Orochimaru S rank. You gotta recognize some of the chakra. You gotta remember, Toji is a trained assassin. He has like enhanced senses. He's like a superhuman, right? So he can sense, right? He's not like, just because he doesn't have chakra, he can't sense, right? With his 5 senses. So he would start heading in, right? As he would see Sasuke, and Sakura would kind of be off, kind of being a support character, trying to heal Sasuke as much as he can, just like temporary healing. And obviously, Sasuke is doing pretty well on his own. Tutomoy, he's pushing his limits using the Chidori, and he's holding his own for now, but he can't, like, in the long run, he can actually fight Orochimaru. So Orochimaru's kind of playing around with it. So Naruto comes in, right? He comes from nowhere. He goes and pretty much drop kicks Orochimaru, as Orochimaru's ribs like pretty much cracked, right? As he's sent into the tree. As Naruto is kind of quick, right? He moves in, uses his chain to wrap around the tree, as he would tell Sasuke to channel the light, channel like fire and lightning at Orochimaru, as he would start using his heaviest fire jutsus, as then he would start using some just like channeling lightning into it as well, into his fire, as he's like spitting it out. It's kind of infusing it into the fire, enhancing it. So Orochimaru's he's getting hit, right? So his skin's peeling off as he's kind of regurgitating, as he would have his Kusanagi blade, as Naruto would pull out his katana, as they would start clashing, right? Naruto's holding his own easily here, right? Clashing. Naruto, kind of parries Orochimaru's blade and slashes his chest, like vertically. He kind of goes from swipes up, as it would kind of slash him and even hit some part of his neck close to his jugular. So Orochimaru would kind of stumble back, as he would start realizing this is Naruto. This was the former member of the Akatsuki, Thing is, he actually saw Naruto as a kid when he was growing up in the Akatsuki, and he now recognizes him, remembers him. So, pretty much when he was growing up, when Orochimaru was in the Akatsuki, this was like when Naruto was 9 or 10, right? And it's when that one Itachi figures, Orochimaru tries to take over Itachi's body, but fails, and it leaves, right? The thing is, like, Naruto actually had a few encounters with Orochimaru as a kid, and he was like extremely weirded out by him, right? So now Naruto also, like, that's sort of how he remembered him, because there's just that snake presence that you just can't forget, really. So from here, Naruto would, and Orochimaru really would realize this Naruto, he has that weapon which can cancel chakra. And he always wanted to get that weapon, but he realized he can't actually fight Naruto. Naruto is just that guy. He can't really beat him at this point. So he would actually start turning into snakes, and he would start leaving. And he would get out of there, right? And he's more hesitant on actually invading the village now that Naruto's there, but he would just plan it out more. So from here, Naruto would then kind of leave and have Sasuke and Sakura get to the tower, have the scrolls, and that's where they'd get past. So now let's just kind of go through to the 1 month time skip. Now this time, obviously, what would happen is Naruto would start to do more mercenary jobs, assassination jobs, and also in the meanwhile training Sasuke for his fight against Gaara. Now, since Naruto's not really here, obviously what's the name? Those who being killed, there's 2 less members here, so he's going to be fighting against Neji. I would say can really have, I guess, maybe Neji fight the winner of whoever beats Shikamaru or Tamari, or really Sakura or Kankura, I believe. Yeah, Kankura versus Sakura. So pretty much any of the winners of those fights will Neji will then fight from there. So from here, the 1 month would kind of go through as, I guess, a lot of things will happen this month, which I'll be going through here. Naruto would meet up with Jiraiya. He obviously has a lot of respect for Jiraiya because he's just a spy master, just known for his reconnaissance and his connections, as he just wants to, I guess, be his apprentice because he wants to have his connections, be able to do jobs, money, things like that. Actually, from here, it would be trained under, Jiraiya, right? Obviously, Jiraiya is, his godfather and things like that. He feels it's actually his duty to do so. So, from here, they would actually start training for the rest of the month, as Kakashi would be training up Sakura and Sasuke. Like to the most, Sasuke would be getting his 3-2-1 Sharingan. As Naruto would then kind of train his physical strength. Sasuke, like I said, 3-2-1 Sharingan, mastering his Chidori. Sakura will be getting more from medical ninjutsu. Like, once Tsunade becomes a teacher, she'll be getting the 100 healings just like that. Lickety splat. I'm just kidding. So, pretty much, they'd progress a lot during this month, as Naruto would just get stronger and stronger. As Jiraiya would see that he doesn't really have any chakra. He has some type of mutation. He doesn't have any chakra, right? And maybe he was thinking that the yin and yang gene in him is just skipped over, so maybe his kid will have a chakra, right? Just him not having chakra. Also remember to this detail, because that's something I will actually introduce later on. And actually during this month, he would just be more friendly with some of the other friends, as Hinata, Shikamaru, Toji, things like that. It will actually, in a sense, my lord, English today. It would give him his humanization, as I guess it would make him more like, just having friends in general is pretty good. gives you character, personality, things like that. That's just something you never had growing up to be trained as a trained assassin. So from here, I'll actually be starting the Chunin exams, as Naruto will be watching from the Hokage stand. Actually, I guess Naruto would start being held higher to Hiruzen because he literally fought Orochimaru. He'd be Zabuza. You'd realize that Naruto is actually reliable and he's strong, right? So he'd actually have him as one of his Anbu, like detail, his protection detail, just for show. Just so he doesn't think anything will really happen, well, except Orochimaru. But he'd really have Naruto there, so he can actually fight Orochimaru. Obviously, the Kazekage, the whole Konoha Crush would go about the same. Whenever Sasuke, like when Sasuke comes in, the fight starts and things like that, that's when he'll the Shukaku would come out. But we'll actually go over some of the other fights. So Sakura versus Kankuro. Obviously, Kankuro would actually resign. Actually, it wasn't. It was Shino versus Kankuro. Forgive me. So we'll actually have Sakura versus Neji here, right? So Sakura would be fighting against Neji, right? Obviously, I would like to say that Sakura beats him. I'd say she does pretty well, right? She uses her earth style, water style. But whenever she would use her water style, the water bullet, I believe it's called, or the water vortex, or the water dragon, which would deplete a lot of her chakra. He would use the eight palms. He would use the palm rotation, and he would kind of get in close. And obviously, whenever you would try to get it close, he uses 64 palms. She would actually start punching the ground to cause cracks in the ground to create some sort of distance between him and her, right? As whenever he would start using, she would start using the water style jutsu, as he would use his palm rotation, and then she would kind of go in, she would have a shadow clone, just one shadow clone, by the way. She can't use many, so just one. Okay, and that shadow clone would be doing the water jutsu, as he would use the palm rotation, as she would get in close and pretty much punch right through the palm rotation, right? She would kind of use her chakra infused fist. I'd say this would do a lot of damage. This is when, obviously, let's just have her win the fight. Either way, Neji wants to fight, or Sakura wants to fight. It doesn't really affect some of the events that would actually come up, right? They're both still highly valued, and even after a time skip, they will still be tuning, right? So she would punch right through the palm rotation. This was kind of pretty much flying into a wall, as he would kind of be knocked out from there. Now, what happened from here is some of the other fights will take place. As obviously Shikamaru versus Samaru and things like that, I would go relatively the same, and we'll kind of skimming through this until Sasuke versus Gaara, in which Sasuke will pierce him with the Chidori. Gaara will go insane, partially transformation, go outside the village, and this one's Sasuke and Sakura and Shikamaru would go after him. And I think at this point, Sasuke would be strong enough to deal with him before he transforms. And even then, he actually has a trump card up his sleeve. And obviously, he'll be helped by Jiraiya, as Jiraiya would have Naruto. And Naruto's watching from above, and he kind of knows he'll be okay. So Jiraiya and Sasuke would go over and fight Gaara, right? Obviously, this is after Jiraiya fights all this sound ninja. That would kind of deplete a decent bit of chakra. So after he's finished dealing with all the sound Jonin, he would actually, from here, go over and help Sasuke with Gaara. Now from here, we'll actually go over to Orochimaru versus Naruto and Hiruzen, as the barrier would form and the other Anbu couldn't go in, but Naruto is doing just fine, right? He summons his blade as he gets ready to fight Orochimaru. This is when Orochimaru would start summoning 4 tombs, as Obviously, Hiruzen would prevent the fourth Hokage from summoning Minato, but the first and the second Hokage would actually be summoned still. So they'd be summoned as the caskets would open, as Naruto would be tasked with fighting Tobirama and Hiruzen with Hashirama. So Tobirama would start talking with Naruto, as he'd say his name's Naruto Uzumaki, and they'd be fighting hand in hand, and Tobirama wouldn't be able to sense any chakra, but whenever Naruto would slice at him with his inverted spear, it would actually cause some permanent damage there. It would not actually be able to heal from, and he would be extremely careful and whatnot. Actually, he's not sentient, but Orochimaru really controlling them would be careful. So it would start, Tobirama would actually see Naruto's strength. Obviously, he can't control his body, but Tobirama would start using of his advanced water style jutsus, as Naruto would start taking this. As after this, Naruto, he's either slicing through the water pretty easily. Like I said, he can cut through any technique, right? So he comes in, uses his chain, as he would use his inverted spear as a long range attack, as he would slice off Tobirama's head, and before I can heal, he'll actually go ahead and just slice it to pieces, to rib it to pieces, right? As his body would kind of turn into dust in a way, tiny little pieces of dust, and it would sort of just kind of fly away, right? So after Naruto's done with this, right, the connection between Orochimaru and Tobirama would be disconnected, as Naruto and Hiruzen would jump Hashirama. Hashirama in turn would actually start using some of his wood style, like the wood style bloom forest, I think it's called, and it releases like a nocturnal gas, and this would start affecting Naruto and Hiruzen. But from here, they would kind of, with Hiruzen's help of his advanced monk style jutsus, fire style jutsus, they would be able to negate some of its effects, right? Obviously, as we know, Hiruzen is the god of shinobi. That's the term, the god of shinobi, and he knows literally every jutsu except Kekken Genkai. So what you do is, with the help of Naruto, they would manage to cut down some of the root trees as they would get through, and Hiruzen would protect them using wood style jutsu to keep any of the poisonous gas away from them, as they would manage to get out of the forest. From here, they would start clashing hand in hand with Naruto, but mostly Hiruzen helping Naruto with his staff, Adamantium staff, as Naruto would be using his inverted spear to cut through Hashirama, as Orochimaru would be having Hashirama use his wood style to protect him, because he knows that spear is strong. So what he'll do is Hiruzen would cause a distraction, as he would use his Adamantium staff to pierce through any wood that would come through, as Naruto would kind of go around the wood where he actually can't be seen. Some of the wood residually would still be there, as he would come from the right side of Hashirama and blindside him for cutting his head off, right? As he would not regenerate from there, as he would be sealed. Now, from here, it would be 2-on-1 and Orochimaru, and this I don't see Hiruzen having to use the Reaper Death Seal, simply the fact that Naruto's inverted spear is really overpowered. So Naruto and Orochimaru start clashing with the Kusanagi blade, as Hiruzen would help him out using the monk style jutsu paired with his fire style and other things like that, as Naruto would kind of wrap him up in chains. Hiruzen would use his monk style to track him. Naruto would then run up to Orochimaru and go ahead and decapitate him, right? And before he can even regenerate, I would just slice him to pieces, as Hiruzen would use a sealing jutsu to seal some of the remains, as that would be about it. Naruto would defeat Orochimaru alongside with Hiruzen, as Hiruzen realized that he's, I guess, now fully trusts Naruto, and he thinks he obviously, now that the new generation has come, he's becoming weaker and weaker compared to when he was in his prime, about 10-20 years ago. as this will kind of give him realization, which we'll then go over soon. So, after the attack has taken place, Sand Village and things like that would realize that they've been manipulated and would try to mend any wounds with the Leaf Village, things like that. And obviously now we have the Tsunade retrieval arc, and pretty much in this time Naruto would be informed by Hiruzen that he is now been appointed as the Shadow Kage, as Danzo would be informed that he is no longer the Shadow Kage and is under suspicion for many war crimes, as Danzo would think now it's the time to use Konomatsu Kami. As he's planning things out in his compound, like about an hour after he was sent that letter, Naruto would infiltrate his base after cutting down all his men, and like I said, he cannot be sensed. So Naruto would come into his chambers as he would deal with Danzo before he can, I guess, react to him being sensed, being seen, or even sensed. And even then, Naruto would take precautions of cutting off the arm with the Sharingan, taking out the Sharingan from Danzo, things like that, as he would give the Sharingan to Sasuke, because those were his previous clansmen. And yeah, though, he would, if he wants to use them, he wants to use them there. If he wants, they're just his. They're natural because they're of the Uchiha, and now he's technically like the Uchiha clan head now. So from here, now kind of play out the Tsunade retrieval arc as Hiruzen realizes that he's gotten old and he needs a replacement, as he would have Naruto kind of be the Shadow Kage for Tsunade. So from here, Jiraiya and Naruto would be sent out on the mission to retrieve Tsunade, and then after that they would talk some business about dealing with the Akatsuki. So from here, they would head out of the Leaf Village and head over to the kind of the smaller villages outside of the Leaf Village, but still within the Fire Nation, as they're going to each town and looking for Tsunade, because she hasn't left the Fire Nation, but they know she's not in the Leaf Village, right? So they'd head towards there, as they would find her in a bar, and all meeting with Itachi and Kisame trying to achieve Nine Tails. That wouldn't happen because they don't know where it is. He's the only one that knows where it is, so it would kind of be futile for them to even try. But they would still kind of maybe have some reconnaissance, but nothing too major. Right? They're just kind of conserving their energy, getting ready, right, for a future attack in the coming years. So they would go head over to the town that Tsunade is after a few weeks of traveling, and Naruto would be, Jiraiya would be giving him some wisdom about everything, like life, like about missions, like getting reconnaissance, how to spy on people, how to sneak in and infiltrate in crowds, how to get mercenary jobs, and how to actually live off this kind of life, and just anything really. Because now Jiraiya kind of feels the need to do so, because as we know, Naruto was in the village until he was 16, so he is his godfather, so he actually feels sort of necessity to teach him something that he hadn't learned normally if he would have just had parents or something like that, right? So Naruto would be learning a ton from Jiraiya and things like that about life and things, and just maturing overall. Now from here, we'll actually have Naruto and Jiraiya be exhausted from the travel as they kind of enter the town, or a town. As they would enter, and they would head over to a restaurant to eat, things like that. This is when they would actually find Tsunade. It was kind of funny because they weren't trying to find Tsunade, they were just trying to eat it. And then they found Tsunade, so that was kind of interesting. So they would go in and they would sit down and start conversing, as Naruto, would pick up the tab, things like that, just overall kind of just showed that they're kind of friendly. And Jiraiya would tell them about this, like about, who Tsunade is, things like that, and how they actually get her, and how she's a gambler. Naruto kind of feel this relatability because he's also kind of a gambler, right? And yeah, he doesn't lose money to gambling, but he still gambles, right? So pretty much from here, Naruto would start talking with Jiraiya and just talking like small talk. And after like about 30-40 minutes of them catching up and things like that, mostly Jiraiya and Tsunade, they would actually start talking about the prospect of Tsunade coming back to the village to be the next Hokage. Now, Tsunade, obviously having met these people, that she wouldn't start insulting the Hokage name, but she would show some disdain over it, over being the Hokage, things like that, and she just thinks I want to be here doing all this paperwork and things like that. And Naruto, knowing the gambler inside her, like he wants to make her a deal, so he talks. He talks about how he wants to make her a deal, and he says, if we're gonna have an arm wrestling match, I know you're quite strong. I think I'm quite strong, and if I beat you, you will come back to the Leaf Village. But if not, I'll actually pay off all your debts personally, and some more for a sweetener. As let's say your debt's about like 2 million, right? He would actually add 500,000 on top of that, just for winning, pretty much. So Tsunade, being she's a big gambler, she would actually take him up on this offer as they would head over to kind of an open area because they don't want to destroy anything, and actually have their arm wrestle. Like kind of how the Raikage and Tsunade actually had an arm wrestle in Shippuden before the war arc. So from here, they'll have the war. They would have their arm wrestle as they're going, and the thing is, Tsunade, like just with any normal person, she would just immediately win. Like that's it, right? Because Naruto's hand is still there, and and as they're starting, he seems so kind of unfazed, like he's just kind of just normal, right? As Naruto, she would see he's like that strong. As she would start like kind of fusing chakra, Naruto's hands start budging a little bit, and he starts fusing his strength, and he start kind of pushing back, and they're actually creating like some sort of crater at the bottom as Naruto pushes. Whenever Naruto pushes to the other direction, like the right direction to like one, and Tsunade pushes back, and like pretty much what would happen is just in the end Naruto would win, as just looking around at the landscape though of the destruction they created. This would actually show like Tsunade that Naruto's like quite strong now in a sense, and then she would learn that he was actually appointed recently to be Shadow Kage and actually killed someone. Like he killed Danzo, though officially, like we're talking officially public wise, Danzo was killed by an assassin, and they're now investigating, right? But we know that Naruto actually killed what's his name, Danzo. So from here, here's a Tsunade would come back, and from here, this is just gonna be me summarizing everything at the ending and things like that. And what would happen from here is Naruto and the rest would actually head over to the Akatsuki base, as obviously they had this big sealing jutsu, and the only reason they didn't actually change is because, well, it's not really needed, because one, they couldn't really get past it. Obviously now they can. So what would happen from here is they would get past it, and they would just start annihilating all of the Akatsuki members, some of the lower ones, while Naruto and Obito would remain. Kakashi would deal with Obito, and Naruto would go against Naruto and Konan, with Jiraiya kind of after Naruto would, after Naruto would defeat all the 6 paths. There's not much Nagato can do, so I could see Jiraiya having his kind of talk with them, and then realizing there's not much he can do, and then deals with if you know, you know. So from here, that's really about it. I'd say after the Akatsuki is taken down, it's not like Kage gets resurrected, so there's no reason for Otsutsuki. But that will kind of happen later on during the Boruto line. And then for now, I'd say though, Naruto would have his usual like family and everything like that. And obviously now, like I said, I would, we know who Toji is, we know who Megumi is. I would actually have, in a sense, Megumi be similar to now Boruto in this timeline, because now he can actually make Shikigami, and his inspiration for doing so is kind of making summoning animals and making his own Shikigami and getting his domain. That's just something for the future in that timeline. But overall, this was kind of interesting to do. Kind of like doing it. It may have been. I think it was overall pretty good, kind of fleshed out. But yeah, the ending would be just once Tsunade would come back to the village, Naruto would be at the Shadow Kage. He'd kind of just do Shadow Kage things, assassinations for other villages, and more peace talks and kind of things like that. As he'd be well known throughout the villages, as his name would be engraved in history, and Itachi would actually manage to reunite with Sasuke. And obviously they'd have their fight, but they would really have like a fight to death, right? And this was all occurring, all this like invading the Akatsuki and things like that. This is post, like after the time skip. They had to train. I know I didn't mention this quite earlier, but what I usually have is them kind of get stronger. Kakashi being able to use Kamui, Sasuke like being at the Mangekyo after learning about the truth of Danzo. After they're investigating, like after Naruto killed Danzo, they start investigating him, and then they would find out the evidence and the truth and things like that, and then they would reveal it to the public. And then they would have their whole training arc. Sasuke would train his Mangekyo and things like that. Sakura would get 100 healings. Overall, the kind of Konoha 12 will get stronger and stronger, and that's when they would have that invasion of the Akatsuki going into their base, right? And with their information and their mole Itachi, they actually have info on where they are, as they would manage to get in. I'd say it's like Jiraiya and things like that. They deal with more of the data run, the zombie duo and Sasori and Deidara. That should be easy pickings for Sasuke with his lightning jutsu Kakashi. And after that, Kakashi would fight Obito, Sasuke would fight Itachi, not to the death, but still fight him. And then they would have like their transplant. They would both get the mess. So overall, this kind of is interesting ending. Naruto's just like, he's just straight up hands, and he's still like, just from the start, I guess he's kind of OP because there's not much of progression he could have, because like I said, he doesn't have like a technique or anything. So it's not, I guess I did the best I could when it came to that. That's about it. Yeah, pretty much it. Obviously Boruto, or in a sense his name would be Megumi, would be the kind of the next great thing, right? He would be much stronger than Toji, or Naruto in this case, at his peak. So it's kind of just starting the new generation of, ninja, really. But yeah, without further ado, guys, that's about it. Hope you all enjoyed it. But yeah, without further ado, guys, have a good day. Peace out.